So hi, good morning. My name is Wayne. I'm going to be doing the bio sharing for today. I came from Raffles Junior College. Yeah. So this is my sharing on why you should or should not take H2 Bio. So why did I take bio? Well, for me, bio was the easiest subject to study. I enjoyed studying for bio the most during secondary school, and it felt like a very natural subject for me to study. I enjoyed it like so much that it didn't really feel like studying. So to me, it was it's a big plus that I didn't like feel tired or boring that about the subject. I also wanted to like learn more about it because it was an interesting subject for me. That's why I wanted to take it more, right? Yeah. Then if someone asked me anything that I hated about subject, I wouldn't say that I personally have any turn off about it because it was a really fun subject for me lah. But one thing that I heard from many of my friends and other people who feel like to me is that their biggest turn off for bio was that there's a lot of memorizing of content. So it's not so much having to understand what it is. It's just that there's just a lot of content. So for me, at least, there were four books that I had to memorize. Like four books that I had to go to. Four books of content. Each book was maybe about this thick. Yeah. So and there's a lot of like nitty gritty details that you really really have to memorize. Because if you don't memorize, then it's a bit hard for you to like come up with the details on the spot during the exam. Yeah, but I think it's not that big of a problem. If every day you consistently like you study a bit, you eventually get it done. Yeah. But if someone asks me if there's one thing I disliked about the subject, right, it would be the inconsistencies lah in the notes for the subject. This maybe varies from school to school, but personally for me, uh, there's a lot of inconsistencies. So like they'll read one thing in the notes, then you go and approach your tutor about it. Then he'll be like, oh, actually it's not like this. So you have to take note of these inconsistencies in your notes, and then highlight them to your instructor or like not instructor, highlight them to your tutor, and then like clarify as soon as possible, so that like you don't bring these inconsistencies into your exam. Then like you'll lose marks because of it. Uh, the next thing would be comparing between O level and JC bio. So I feel that bio is the subject that changes the least from O level to A level. Like it's a pretty seamless transition in the sense that the stuff you study, there's a lot of overlapping topics. So you feel like, oh, actually I've seen this before. It's not completely new. So, yeah, so it's pretty comfortable. It's a pretty like easy subject to transition into. One such example is like photosynthesis, then like your cell structure. It's just yeah, then the method of studying, at least for me my method of studying for bio didn't really change, which was just to like make my own notes from the notes that they gave us, and then like study from my own notes instead. Yeah, like make summaries and mind maps. For the major difference, there's only like one, which is that everything else is covered in more depth. So you start learning about like for let's say for example cell structure, right? Mostly you only learn about the organelles in like O level. By JC you really start to like go into in depth what each structure does specifically, and like how its structure is how its structure helps it to be adapted to like its function, which uh was very interesting for me because I wanted like the reason I took bio because I want to learn more about it. Yeah. And each topic is really covered in more depth, which is good. Yeah. Uh Next. Okay. So this is a summary of uh content for the uh bio. In the first at the first few topics were about DNA. So like DNA replication, DNA transcription, how DNA is made, how it's used to create stuff like mRNA, which is messenger RNA, which is used to make proteins for the body. Then after you finish the entire whole part about DNA, which is one whole book on its own, you go on to respiration. Respiration is how it teaches you like uh the cycle of how your body changes glucose into energy with the help of the mitochondria and all that. This was a pretty dry topic for me because it's really just memorized. There's like, if I remember correctly, there's three or four um three or four like cycles that you need to memorize. Yeah. And it's very long and tedious process. Then after respiration it comes into photosynthesis, which is quite similar to respiration in the sense that it also has a lot of cycles that you have to memorize. But instead of breaking down the glucose to form energy, you learn about how it builds glucose from like uh the the raw materials like oxygen and your water and all that. Yeah. Then after you're done with respiration and photosynthesis, you move on to evolution and natural selection. So evolution is a topic that was very interesting. It actually is very, very similar to O level because you have to go through the if you all still remember, it's like natural selection. There's a random mutation in the population, which leads to a selective advantage. Then from a selective advantage, the and the organisms with the selective advantage live longer, can produce more offspring. Then this leads to like a larger proportion of the like over a long period of time, it leads to a generation with a lot like a change in the demographic of the population. So those with the selective advantage will like grow to a much bigger size than those without the selective advantage. So I remember that there was a small part of this on in O level. So I hope I'm making sense to everybody. Yeah. Uh then next you'll learn about genetics, which is your Punnett square, and like if actually I don't remember. Yeah, you all did this in O level also. It's the one where you draw like the long list where it starts with parent phenotype. So it's this phenotype cross with this phenotype and then parental alleles. Then for alleles you split, then you do the crossing method, and then you find out like how many percentage of it how many percent of the offspring will show this phenotype or will show this other phenotype. If you all got any question about this, you can ask me later during the Q&A. But yeah, that's mostly the summary of content for the topics. Next. Okay, so now I'll talk to you about the breakdown of the bio papers. So there's 4 papers in total, as with the other science papers as well. Paper 1 is 40 MCQ. So that's honestly this MCQ y'all can score really really well if y'all practice and y'all like pay close attention to the small differences in the questions, right? It's very easy to get all 40 correct, and that will like uh set you ahead lah. Next, paper 2 will be your short answer questions. Short answer questions are usually like your normal paper 2 in O level. It's just like a bunch of questions, each of them with like 3 or 4 marks, and you'll just slowly answer. Paper 3 is different in the sense that it's long questions, which includes your data response questions and your essay question. This paper is uh quite shared. You have to write quite a bit, and uh you need to manage your time well. Because if I remember correctly, there's 5 questions in total. Uh, the first 4 are just there are 10 marks, 10 to 25 marks each. Yeah. Then there's a either or long essay question, which is worth 25 marks. So it'll be one 10 mark and one 15 mark question. Yeah, and that is you don't write on the paper itself. They'll give you full scape paper, and then you have to write out write out the long answer to it on the full scape paper and then submit it together. Yeah. So this is where your memorization is very important, because if you don't memorize and you only have like a idea of what the question is asking for, but you don't know exactly what you're asking for, it becomes very hard to structure your answer, and you spend time trying to like remember and like structure your answer while you're doing the paper, and that's not ideal because this paper doesn't it doesn't have a lot of time. It's not very forgiving. So the moment you see the question, you have to be able to write it down already, or else you might not you might not put everything that you want to put into the yeah. You might not have enough time to write down everything that you want. Then paper four will just be your practicals. Yeah, that's pretty this made up of usually 2 to 3 experiments with one planning question at the end. Yeah. So not much different from O level, I would say. Then okay, so this is my advice for taking this subject. So it's very important that you stay disciplined. As I said before, there's a lot of content. So but if you're disciplined and you like break up the content over a long period of time, right? It's actually not that hard. So discipline is important in the sense that you have to um study every day, study consistently. Because if you don't, it's very hard for you to cram all of the bio syllabus beforehand. One is very stressful, and two is not very realistic. Yeah. Uh, you have to have a good memory. Quite self-explanatory. But of course, if you don't have a good memory, I'm not saying don't take it. If you don't have a good memory, it's just you have to work a bit harder to memorize everything. Yeah. Then practice regularly papers. Okay, this is also with all your other subjects now, but it's most evident in bio because the questions are very repetitive and there's only so many variations of the same question that they can ask you. So if you practice regularly, you'll start to get very familiar with these question types. Then you know exactly what to put in just like that. Then you don't have to spend time thinking, oh, what should I put into the answer and what I should not. Because it's very easy in bio to overwrite. So when they ask you a question and you think that, oh, this is what they want, but actually you wrote like way too much than it's actually needed. So you hit the max point like somewhere like halfway through your answer, but you continue writing because you're not sure, and that will lead to like wasting time. Time is a very precious resource in bio exams. Yeah, so like better to not waste time writing too much. Challenges you might face. So at least for me, there were many similar topics. One example will be respiration and photosynthesis. So I, as I said just now, if I remember, there's a lot of cycles for both of these topics, and it's very easy to mix up the two cycles. So like you would think, oh, this happens in respiration, but actually it's something that happened in photosynthesis. So it's you need to be meticulous with your work, and like really memorize to the like exact detail so that you don't get confused during the exam then like mess up. Uh there's also the need to memorize a lot of long chemical names. Let me think. Yeah, there's a lot of like long chemical names that you have to remember, and you can sometimes get very confusing, and like you might slip up and like misspell some of the chemical names lah. I would say spelling mistakes don't matter as much. Like my tutor told me that the spelling mistakes, as long as you don't misspell the bioterm into another bioterm, you should be fine. They will like close one eye and still give you the mark anyway. Yeah. And lastly, it's a very content heavy subject. So if you are planning to take a geog, usually the suggestion is to not take geog and bio together because it's a lot of memorizing and you might get overwhelmed. Uh, but most people will probably take econs, and econs also have a lot of content. So you all need to like balance studying for bio and studying for econs. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm gonna go on into what may not seem important to you now, but will definitely come up once you're closer to J2 lah. Tech 4 maybe now still like a bit don't know what to want to do in life, right? Yeah, but I'll go on about possibly uni courses and job prospects, because this is something that's very real and something that will definitely pop up, and like you want to um think about it beforehand. So I'm gonna be brutally honest, right? Like completely honest. bio is not the best course to take for uni courses. So bio is what I would say it's a very useless subject to take in uni because any courses that bio can get you into, physics can do the same, but it's not like vice versa. So without physics, right, it's very hard to take any of the engineering courses. But with physics, without bio, you're not really missing out on much. Yeah. So when I started applying for uni, uh, so for context, I accepted life science and a double major in life science and management at NUS. This might not be super relevant to you now, but if you're interested, you can go like search up NUS website and go like read through all the courses. Uh, I learned it the hard way, right? That bio is not a very important subject when you're applying for uni. Yeah, as you can see, like the picture that I put there, biomedical engineering, like something that sounds so bio, right? Which I was really interested in, required physics, which was like a big shocker. Cause I thought this topic is on bio and how come I need physics? Of course, you can still apply for biomedical engineering, but you'll be set behind because you have to take physics bridging modules in your during your course, whereas the physics students they can like immediately focus on their like on the subject itself. So it's if you don't mind like a minor handicap, right? Like it's okay, but yeah, but it's like you're really limited in your choices, Yeah. Then in terms of job offers, bio degrees are also like very limited. It's only it's either you go into research or you go into teaching. Those are like the only two like users for a bio degree. And people I've talked to have told me that with a bio degree, they find it very, very hard to find a research job. Yeah, and currently there's a huge surplus of like life science and like bio degrees, but there's very low demand for it now. Yeah. So they said that they've gone like they graduate then like they find it really, really hard to find a job, which is just something to take note. Y'all can like it's not important to y'all now, definitely. But it's just something to think about. Something to consider when if you want to take bio or not. Yeah, that's it. There's a lack of demand for people with biology degrees. And most people I've talked to with bio degrees, they either do something completely different from what they studied, like sales or like um something in the financial sector, or they just like go become a teacher. So if that's not what you want, maybe you want to like consider whether or not you want to take bio again. So next I'll go on. So should you even take it? So I know I just like this the whole entire like bio subject like a lot, right? But I think if if they give me a choice again, right, I will still take bio. Yeah, because uh it was a subject that I really, really enjoyed. And it was so easy for me to pick up. It's so interesting. But might not be the same for you, lah. So that's why the first like thing you should ask yourself is do you enjoy the subject enough? Because if you don't, it's gonna become very, very tedious for you to try and like study for it. Yeah. Then also what do you want to do in the future? I know that's asking a lot for you, lah. Cause honestly in Sec 4, I also don't know what I want to do. But take this sharing, take it in and like think about what you want to do in the future. Like as I said, bio degree is quite limited in the sense that you can only either do uh what's it called? Teaching and research. Yeah. Then lastly, what other subjects you're considering taking? So I mentioned this earlier before. If you're taking geog, highly not recommended. But if I'm not saying completely don't take it, because I've seen people who've done bio geog, math econs and do perfectly fine. So it's honestly it's a little bit more challenging, but you don't have to be worried about it being impossible because there have been people who've done well in it. Yeah. So just relax lah. if you really enjoy a subject and I would say it's an easy A. Yeah, because there's not much variation to the question type. So if you practice enough, it's really like quite okay. Yeah. Okay. So now we are going to be doing a Q&A. The first question: Does bio give students an increased chance in joining medicine? Unfortunately, no. Um, if you take bio, it does not give you an additional chance to join medicine because the the criteria to join medicine is bio or physics. Yeah, quite a bummer. And also another like, whoa, I didn't know it was like this when we like were trying to apply for courses. So yeah, hope that answers your question. So the answer is no. Um, so what is the main difference between H2 and H3 bio? Um, so I didn't take H3 bio, but I do know that so you take it concurrently. So you take H2 bio and H3 bio together. No, sorry. Uh, you go for additional lessons like after school, like in the afternoon, right? There'll be some. It's not every day. There'll be like maybe once every 2 to 3 days along the week. Then you have to go in for extra lessons. The main difference is you learn about you learn about history, if that makes sense. So H2 bio is like mainly just the content of the syllabus. But history bio H2 bio is mainly the content of syllabus. But history bio you learn more about the history of the biologists. So like uh from what I heard from my friends, you have to study the different like how the biologists came to be, like their biggest achievement and all that. So it's a bit different, but I would say if you're interested in bio, it's still quite okay lah. Um, history. I'm not that sure about history bio though, so I can't really answer for you. Sorry. Let me see what's next. Is bio a prerequisite for medicine? No, actually, as I said just now, if you take physics, you can still take medicine, so not that big of a deal. Okay. A lot of you want to take medicine, it seems. Yeah, but as I said just now, no. Sadly, bio. Nope, not useful study text for bio. Okay. So for me, what I found most effective was at the end of every chapter, I would one drop a mind map of the entire topic, which made it easier for me to study. Then I will also make my own notes because the thing about school notes is that it's very very long-winded and a lot of very redundant. So if you try and memorize from the book itself, right, you might how to say, there's some stuff that you don't have to memorize. And also when you make your own notes, right, there's like a form of muscle memory in there. So when you write down everything or you write down everything again, it makes it easier for you to recall rather than just reading and trying to like internalize it. So my two study techniques are to make a mind map after every chapter and then compile them, and then also make my own notes. Yeah, worked out for me lah. I think it's honestly quite helpful. Bio give any sort of benefits for uni courses at all? I'm not saying there's completely no um uni courses that need bio. So one example that needs bio is it life science in NUS along with the veterinarian course. So if you want to be a vet, you definitely need bio. Yeah. And most of the like life science related uni courses also need bio. So I'm not saying uh physics can you do every single bio or every single course. No lah. Bios, there are some courses that are bio specific, like exclusive to bio. So there are some, just not a lot. Yeah. you share in detail how you study for bio? Yeah, like I said just now, it's a lot of writing. I think we wrote like all 4 books of my bio syllabus. I think I wrote them down like 4 or 5 times in total. Yeah, a lot of writing, and then like eventually you you internalize it and it becomes habitual for you. Yeah, comes like muscle memory. The moment someone asks a question, like, oh yeah, that's the answer. Cause you've like at least for me, I've written it down so many times, so I can just like remember it off the top of my head. Yep. Do you think it's worth changing from physics to bio if I aim to take medicine in uni? Uh, this depends. Okay, so do you take bio in O level? If you didn't, I would say no, because you'll be put on a major setback. Yeah, if you're a physics student in O level and you try to take bio, it's uh quite a shock lah. I don't think it's good. If you are a physics student in O level and you want to take medicine in uni, right? I would say just stick to physics. Yeah, cause bio is not a requirement to take medicine. Yep. Please help to compare between bio and physics. What are your opinions in each? Okay, so I took triple science in O level, so I have an idea of what physics is, but I didn't take it in JC because one, no interest. It was honestly not a very fun topic for me lah. Like I don't really like the formulas and all that. From what I hear from my friends though, JC physics is very mindless. There's not much memorizing. It's the complete opposite of bio. This fully you have to understand the formula and you have to know how to apply. It's a lot of application questions. So if you are not um all that up for memorizing and you really want to understand what you're like studying, physics is better for you. But if you just wanna, yeah, I don't want to say brain dead, but if you want a simple subject that is just full on memorize and you want to like that's all you want to do, I want to memorize and then just like regurgitate out in exam, right? Bio is for you. Yeah. I have friends who don't like studying, who don't like memorizing, so they take physics and it's a lot easier for them because uh there's not that much content. It's mostly all just calculation and you can like practice for that. Yeah. So that's the difference. Bio is a content heavy and memorization heavy subject, whereas physics is application heavy. So it's up to you how you want to like choose between the two. How much time do you spend studying for bio in relation to your other subjects? Um, I would say not it's quite equal. It's just for me, bio is like my take a break subject, you know. So when I'm too tired to like do math, I'll go do bio because as I said just now, it's easy for me lah. I don't feel like it was a chore for me. Then I think I actually spend more time on econs. Uh, because it's a pretty new topic and I was struggling with econs quite a bit lah. Yeah. So answer your question, not as much as econs, around the same as my other subjects. Like chem and bio were around the same. Bio and math also around the same lah. Yeah. Can I join pharmaceuticals with H2 bio or do I need H1 chemistry? Are practicals difficult? I heard all my teachers didn't take it because it was difficult. Um okay, to answer your first question, can I join pharmaceuticals with H2 biology or do I need a chem? For pharmaceuticals you do need chem. But are you planning to take art stream? Because usually when you take bio, you have to take it with chemistry. Yeah, like okay. So the main subject combinations are what we call BCME, which is bio, chem, math, econs. PCME, physics, chem, math, econs. Then you have Helm, which is history, econs, lit, math, which is art stream. Then you have GELM, geog, econs, lit, math. And hybrid. Hybrid is you choose one science to take and you take it with one of the other art subjects like history, geog, or lit. If you're planning to take hybrid, I strongly recommend chemistry. Yeah, because especially you want to join pharmaceuticals, you should take chemistry. Up and I suggest take H2 chemistry. Yeah, cause I think some of the prerequisites are H2 chem. H1 chem H1 chem is so for H1, right? It's mostly just O level all over again. Yeah. So I would suggest you take H2 chem if you want to take pharmaceuticals. Are practicals difficult? Okay. Um at least for bio, I don't think it's that much different from O level practicals. Yeah. So it's not difficult. Can you just but if you find it tough, you can always approach your tutor for more help. They are usually quite open and like ready to help you. So don't have to worry too much about that. Don't need to be scared about practicals. Practicals are quite standard. Your cutting of plant and like osmosis and all that, So I just chill lah. Mostly the same stuff. What are your future plans? What career? Okay, for me, as I said, I accepted life science with management. I'm planning to switch courses because I found like after talking to people and I realized that bio is really not a good degree to have. A bio degree is not good to have. So I'm planning to switch to data science. And for career wise, I'm currently gonna sign on with the army. Yeah. So I'm gonna become a regular in the army. Yeah. So honestly, uh yeah, that's it. Bio pracs harder than physics prac from what you heard? Because physics pracs are harder in O levels for me. Um, I wouldn't say they're harder, but they are definitely similar in the sense, compared to O level like physics prac. It's a lot of pendulums. Yeah. So the practicals I would say are mostly the same from O levels. It's just small like the extra stuff like the new stuff you study you get like practicals for it. Physics prac, from what I heard, is just people messing around lah. It's not that uh it's people just messing around. It's quite easy. Biopracs are not harder, but they are more tedious in the sense that there's a lot of more like small stuff that you can mess up lah. Like when you mixing reagents and stuff. Like you mix the starch solution and the with the iodine and all that. It's more meticulous and more tedious. So I guess to answer your question, no, biopracs are not harder than physics pracs, but physics pracs are also pretty simple. So like pracs in general are simple. So there's not much to worry about. How do you know which information is redundant in the textbooks? For me, this one is after you study, right? Like after you go through the tutorials and lectures, you realize this comes with time now. It's not immediately one. So that's why I said like I copied my textbook like 4 or 5 times. Cause there's parts where I found redundant and then I want to take them out, but I don't want to cancel. So I just rewrote the entire thing. Yeah. So this comes with practice. You don't immediately get it. Yeah. And along the way you'll find out which is redundant and which you want to keep and which you won't. Then we sharing what online resources do you use in tandem for your school notes or in general just for your learning? Online resources. Honestly, the school notes were more than enough. But as for online resources, I would say I went to look up papers from other schools. But also this one, your JC will probably give you. So I look up papers and I do. Yeah, that's all. Do you plan to sell? Sorry, my bio notes have already been given to some of my juniors. So I'm sorry, I don't have my bio notes anymore. Do notes have picture diagrams? What if I highlight just the important stuff from the book? Um, okay, I would say it's possible. Mostly it's up to your studying strategy and what works for you. My notes, yes, they have pictures and diagrams. Um, one good thing that I think was not bad was I would take a picture of like diagrams in the notes, and then I'll print them out, and then I'll cut them out, and I'll paste them onto my own notes. Yeah. So that's what I would do lah. Um, if you think that you can study from a book, like go ahead, man. I'm not dictating that you should write your own notes. If you think highlighting the important portion and studying from book works for you, go ahead. Yeah, everyone has a different study method, and it work not my method will not work, may not work for you. Yeah, may not work for everybody. Overseas uni prospects for bio better than local. Um, I didn't plan to go overseas, so I can't really offer you much insight on this. But I would say research opportunities are definitely better overseas than local, cause local research facilities are like A star. Yeah, just A star. So if you don't make it to A star, it's very hard to go anywhere else. And most of the people in A star are scholarship holders. So if you really want to go for research, work hard and try and land a scholarship with A star. Yeah. Bio compulsory. Yes, bio is compulsory for life science. Is there a lot of application in bio? How many questions are there that you can simply copy from notes? So I think a good estimate is 80-20. 80% of the questions you can copy and memorize from the notes, and 20% are application. And when I say application, it's like they will ask you, okay, it's like application in O level, they won't ask you outright like list me the process of photosynthesis, but they ask you questions like, oh, what happens if I remove this one specific chemical from the plant at this point in time? What will happen to it? Then you have to like use your knowledge and go, okay, so without this chemical, this cycle cannot happen, and because this cycle cannot happen, what cannot happen? Yeah, I'll say 80-20, not that bad, but also not little enough that you can completely ignore applications if you want to score well. Any assessment book you recommend to practice on for bio? For me, TIS. Yeah, I would do my TIS in pencil, and then I'll erase it, and I'll just redo the entire thing again. Yeah. Bio tuition important. Is it necessary to find a tutor? Um, Again, I cannot give like a sweeping statement, say like bio is important, bio tuition is not important. For me, I didn't take it because it was an easy subject for me to study. So my advice to you is go in, uh, spend if you're like really set on taking bio, spend your first 6 months trying to study on your own first, because uh you don't want to be like, I would say tuition is quite shag. So you don't really want to be spending your time after school like going to a tuition. Yeah. But first spend the first 6 months finding out whether or not you can handle it on your own. If you think you cannot, then I would suggest finding a tutor. But I didn't need it, and most people don't take bio tuition. Yeah, if that helps. Um, can I take H2 for chem, bio, and geog? Um, yes, you can. So instead of econs, you take geog. So remember how I said it's BCME, bio, chem, math, econs. That is you can take bio, chem, math, geog. Yeah, but as I said, be very careful. It's a lot of memorizing. But as I said also just now, it's not impossible. So don't be like me. Okay, so for me, right, I really want to take geog and bio together, but all of my seniors were telling me not to do it, so I didn't do it. But I regretted that, because for me, I really struggled with econs. For context, I didn't get an A for econs until my A levels. Yeah, I was consistently getting C's and B's, which was a very big blow to my confidence. Yeah, like I'll be very frustrated with econs all the time. Yes. And then I will hear like my bio and geog friends who are like, oh, but geog is so simple, it's just memorizing. When you write a lot, but just memorizing. Yeah. So for econs, is you write a lot and it's all application questions. Like, yeah. And I wasn't very good with like econs. So answer the question, yes, you can take it, but think hard. Yeah. Unit of access, unit of resources. Yes. I'm sorry. I mean, no. You don't really need to buy accessible book outside. What the school provide is more than enough. Do you buy any textbooks for studying or just use your teacher? I just use my teacher's notes. Yeah. To enhance learning of bio, what enrichment or activities are useful? Um, if you're interested, you can go read up like science papers or like um just do general reading on it lah. Yeah. Enhance learning. If you don't understand anything, I would suggest you go straight to your tutor, like go and visit them. Like tell them, oh, can I ask you a few questions? Yeah. Also practice papers are practice papers are always very good. Do tutors teach well? Do I have to approach tutors to learn more? As I said, I cannot have okay, this one is another I cannot give a blanket statement on. Uh some tutors do well, some tutors don't do as well. Up is really like up to your luck. I would say I have pretty good luck with bio tutors. They teach pretty well. But there's still sometimes where I'm quite confused like like how come the note says one thing but they say another thing, then I'll go approach them. So general quite okay, but if you don't understand anything, make sure to approach them. What is H3 science research? Okay. Uh, H3 science research is something that you have to do as a H3 student in bio. Uh, you will have to go to this place. You go to NTU, and then you will there'll be this like program listed out for you where you need to like carry out a certain experiment and like collect data and results over a long period of time. From what my friend said, it's really fun. They get to travel to NTU, but it's also not that fun because they have to travel to NTU and it is very far. It's all the way in the west side of Singapore. So you can, if you want to take it, just take into account traveling time. A lot of school usually, how many hours is bio per week? Uh, School hours before HBL it was usually 7 to on early days 7 to 1, on late days 7 to 3 or 4. Yeah. How many hours is bio per week? From what I remember, there are 1 or 2 lectures per week. Each lecture is an hour long, an hour and 30 minutes long. And there's one practical session, which is uh 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours long. Yeah, 2 to 3 hours long for one practical. And that's usually at the start of the week or at the end of the week. And then there's 2 or 3 tutorials, which are 1 hour long each. So that's 1, 2, 3, about 6 hours of bio a week. Yeah. What was so hard about econs? How do you save your econs in A levels? No, it's alright. I guess what was hard about econs for me is the fact that I didn't really understand what I was doing wrong. So I would finish writing all my answers and then I would submit it to my teacher to mark. And then every time it came back, it would be like, not good. Like if you remember SS, they go like L1, L2. I was always an L1, L2 kid. And I didn't understand why. Like I tried to do everything the teacher said, but I just couldn't get it for some reason. How did I save my econs? Well, I actually also don't know. I went into A levels. I just did my best. I just did what I wanted to do. I did what I always did, along with what my tutor told me to do, and I guess I got lucky. Yeah. Very important for neuroscience degree. I am not sure. I would suggest you go and Google it yourself. But on for from first glance, I would say yes, bio is probably important. They'll probably want a bio degree for neuroscience degree. Bio in A levels for neuroscience degree. How do JC subject combination ask in specific number type? Yes. So in JC, subject combinations are determined by this thing called academic units. if I remember correctly, H2s are 3 units each. And H1s are one or 2 units. A JC student minimum has to take 11 academic units. So you take there are a few subjects that you have to take that without a doubt. One of them is GP, which is like your English general paper. Then you have to take project work. Project work and GP are both H1s, by the way. So project work is just like a presentation that you need to write out a report and then do a presentation on it, like an oral presentation. Then you get to choose four subjects that you want to take. So that's in total 6 subjects. Yeah. So like let's say so you get to choose four subjects. Then these subjects there are either 2 science, math is definitely one of them. So it's either 2 sciences and econs or geog or history, or which I said just now lah, like BCME, PCME, but B is bio and then P is physics, C is chem, E is econs. Econs is interchangeable with history and geog. Yeah. Then there's also the art streams, which are history, econs, lit, math, geog, econs, lit, math. Yeah. Then lastly, there's also a hybrid, which is one art subject and one science subject, which is like your chem and geog, chem and history with math and another like contrasting subject, which is like not like another art subject. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. You have to take at least 11 academic units. So if you just add them all up, yeah. Like let's say if you take 4 H2s, that's 4 H2s times 2. Yeah, each H2 is 3 academic units if I remember correctly. So that's 12. Then plus your GP and project work, that's 14. So the reason people take 4 H2s, right, is so that in case you don't do too well in one of the H2s, right? When they calculate the score, they'll drop your lowest H2 down to a H1 because you're taking more than what is needed. If that makes sense. Like you're taking more academic units than what's needed. So if you take like three H2s and 1 H1 is the minimum, I would say. Yeah, you'll learn more about this when you go into JC. Yeah, you can find out more. Yeah. But I hope I've answered that question well enough. Running out of time, so I'll try and like speed through some of these questions. So I think a math tech related course initially, I think biophysics if I qualify for both and ECQ. Yes, I would suggest you take physics for this. Yeah. What's the argument? I got 86.25. That is 3 A's and 1 B. Yeah. How I prepare for bioprac? Just read through answer keys from previous biopracs. I would say read through answer keys and then like take note of the small things. Honestly, the only thing you can prepare for bioprac for is the planning question, which is usually quite standard. Yeah. So it will be like beneficial for you to read through answer keys. How does the A-level grading system work? So it runs on this thing called it's a H2 H1 thing. So the highest score you can get for so it goes A all the way down to S and U, A B C D E S and U. S stands for subpar and U stands for ungraded. So that's like very bad. Like don't get S and U. A, if you get a H2A, it's 20 points. If you get a H1A, it's 10 points. If you get a okay, so I'll just go down lah. H2B is if I remember correctly 17.5. Let me do this up.
Okay, essentially, right, for the grading. So if you're taking H2, every grade you drop is 2.5.
Yeah.
Until you get U is ungraded, then I think you get 0. Yeah. Then whereas for H1 is half of that, so you decrease by 1.25. Yeah.
Yeah. Then basically they add up these points together. Then the max you can get is 90. Yeah. H1 bio useless. No, I wouldn't say it's useless. Um, it's just uh that you lose your safety net. Cause like I said just now, 3 H2s, 4 H2s is taking more than what is needed. So if you don't do too well in one of your H2s, right, you can drop down to a H1. Then like the score decrease in RP is lower. Because instead of dropping by 2.5, you drop by 1.25. Yeah. But if you feel like you cannot cope with H2 bio and it's like hurting your other subjects, then you can still take H1 bio lah. It's fine. The minimum is 3 H2 and 1 H1. I mean, what are the struggles in GP? um, GP, I would say is hard because uh, English is always difficult lah. Like if your essay writing skill not strong, right, uh, it's very hard to score for GP. And there's also stuff like application question in your comprehension, which uh is something very new lah. Yeah. So if you're not that strong in English in O level, right, I would suggest getting a head start on GP. Yeah. Just like approach your tutors early on and ask them for advice. Read up on current affairs. Current affairs is very, very important. Yeah, if you're like not that knowledgeable in current affairs, right, I would say take this time to like brush up on your skills and like uh maybe make a like for me I made a Google Doc and then I just like added all like the small information like quotes from different leaders and like short write-ups on different topics that I can write about. Yeah, so keep yourself informed and try not to like uh be not like be clueless about the world. Current affairs very important. Okay, so I think I just nice ran out of time, but I also answered all the questions. So thank you so much for staying along with me and like listening to me talk for almost an hour. I hope I answered all your questions.